দৈনিক সংবাদ অনলাইনে আপনাদের স্বাগত জানাই। আজকে আমাদের বিশেষ প্রতিবেদনে আমাদের সঙ্গে আলোচনায় উপস্থিত রয়েছেন কলকাতায় মার্কিন কনসাল জেনারেল মেলিন্ডা পাভেক। আমরা তার থেকে জেনে নেব মার্কিন যুক্তরাষ্ট্র সম্পর্কিত নানা কথা এবং তার অভিজ্ঞতার কথা। সব থেকে বড় কথা হলো যে আমাদেরই পরিচিত বহু মানুষ পড়াশোনার সূত্রেই হোক কি কর্মসূত্রে মার্কিন যুক্তরাষ্ট্রে থাকেন। তো সেক্ষেত্রে এখনকার দিনে দাঁড়িয়ে মার্কিন যুক্তরাষ্ট্রে পড়াশোনা করাটা কতটা সহজ হয়েছে সেই সব সম্পর্কিত নানা তথ্য আমরা কিন্তু জেনে নেব তার কাছ থেকে। সো ম্যাডাম, ওয়েলকাম টু দৈনিক সংবাদ অনলাইন।
Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, namaskar. Acha, so my first question is, you have been handling this important position in India for so long. What has your experience been like? Particularly, how do you feel about the city of Kolkata? How much does Indian literature fascinate you?
Those are great questions. Thank you so much. I've been here for almost 3 years, and I think it's been a magical 3 years. The city of Kolkata, while it is known as the city of joy, I think it is also the city of warmth, the city of food, the city of kindness, the city of diversity, the city of harmony. So all of those things have made my time here very special. And of course, one significant aspect of that is, of course, the literature of West Bengal, the literature of India. I love to read books. And so since I arrived, I have been trying to read as many books about this area as I can. And of course, one of the reasons I came here was because I read Amitav Ghosh's The Hungry Tide. And so that, of course, is set in the Sundarbans. And when I read it, I thought, I must come to stay here at some point. And so I'm so excited that I've had the chance to not only be here, but travel in the Sundarbans a couple of times, have a chance to watch the people there who have just such resilience in the face of climate change, all the work they're doing to improve mangrove plantations, to the work to, cultivate and support the Bengal tiger population, while also making sure that there's a reduction in animal-human conflict. I think it's just been such an interesting opportunity to be here. But of course, going back to the literature, I have been slowly reading my way through Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, over time I have been slowly working my way through his many beautiful songs and poems and stories, and of course I think he really is a true master. So it's a wonderful place to be here, and the literature is incredibly fascinating. And I've had the honor of being at a number of book launches, including just last week. I helped to launch a book by an author originally from Kolkata, Shoykot Majumdar, and he is writing a book about Indian immigrants to North America and their lived experiences in relationships and childhood and adjusting to a new country. And it's really, truly quite a magical opportunity to be a part of those kinds of experiences.
Thank you, madam. So my next question is, how are the international relations between India and the United States currently? In the future, in which areas could the relations between the two countries become even stronger?
Well, the relationship between the United States and India is at an incredible point. Obviously, after the G20 presidency of India in 2023, during that presidency, we had a huge number of U.S. government officials coming not only to Delhi, which of course is where we often have government-to-government meetings, but the way India wonderfully hosted the meetings, they were able to visit across all of India. And so I think we had a lot of opportunity for American government officials and private citizens involved in the different G20 groups to be across India and see the wonderful diversity. So I think that is, of course, people-to-people ties are one of the most important aspects of national relationships, international relationships.
Yes.
And so I think that it was a wonderful, wonderful approach to having the G20. But just specifically focused on U.S.-India relations, in addition to the visits that have gone back and forth, we've also just had so many things that we're working on. The relationship is robust, it's multifaceted, it's very strong, and it gets stronger by the day. So what are the things that we can continue to work on or will continue to deepen? We have a number of initiatives where we're doing things like the initiative on critical and emerging technology, which is looking at sort of 8 areas of critical and emerging technologies so that we can make sure that all of those technologies are built and used with democratic values at the center of them. And of course, that's so important. As the largest and oldest democracies, we have to ensure that our values not only exist now, but we're able to work together to ensure that the technologies of the future include those values in order to keep them protected. So that's an area, of course, we're doing a lot of work. We're also continuing to work on education. We have a number of Indian students that go to the United States. In fact, record numbers. Last year, there were 270,000 Indian students in the United States, but there aren't as many Americans that come to India for education.
Yes.
And so what we're working on is finding ways to bring more American students to India at various points in both their education and their career, so that Americans also understand, just like those government officials that came for G20, so that Americans understand the wonderfulness that is incredible India.
Thank you, madam. So my third question, this is the most important question. So how much assistance do students from India receive from the American consulate when they go to study in the United States? How easy is it to obtain a visa nowadays?
That's a great question. And of course, students are always a priority for us. And as we're looking at students and we're thinking about Indian students, we recognize that it can be very daunting, especially for first-generation learners who might want to go overseas. I was a first-generation learner, and I didn't know how to apply for university myself.
Yes.
And so I turned to people to give me advice.
Yes.
And so we recognize that there are a lot of Indian students who might not have that advice within their family. So we've created an organization called the U.S. India Education Foundation,
Yes.
which also known as UCF. They have an office at our American Center in Kolkata, and they have other offices around India, but they also work virtually. So students from anywhere in India can connect with them. They also have a YouTube channel where they have a number of different videos that students can watch multiple times related to the kinds of advice they need. The best part of UCF for students is that it is free, it is accurate, and it is high quality information.
Yes.
So that's the most important. We don't want Indian students to be scammed. And unfortunately, there are people in India who want to scam Indian students, who want to convince students that they have to buy fake papers,
Yes.
or fake bank account information, or
Yes.
other fake things, or have to pay for visa interviews.
Yes.
None of that is accurate. And so we've done things like our Meet the Consuls video series, which you can see on our Facebook pages, which has the consuls themselves talking about what do they look for when students are coming to interview? How did they choose their schools? What's accurate information about your visa application process? And so all of that is a part of our effort to help Indian students. So that's helping students, first of all, be less nervous in their interviews. In the interviews, we want Indian students to say who they are and why they chose the school and why they're excited about it and what do they want to dream about for their future. Sometimes, unfortunately, some students think that means that they need to memorize a speech.
Yes.
But that means that they don't seem like themselves. We expect students to be nervous. We expect students to have thought through. This is a very expensive, very big choice in their lives. And so we want them to show who they are and how they made that choice. And if they do that, they will be very, very good, and the process will be very easy for them. And then, of course, we prioritize students when it comes to scheduling interviews. We recognize that, students get their papers from the U.S. universities at different times.
Yes.
So we have interviews that start in June and are available. And even this year, we expanded a little bit more, and we started some in May because some students want to go to the U.S. for summer school as well. So we have appointments available in May, June, July, and August for the traditional fall start, but then also the early summer. But then we also have another season that is in November, December, and January for students who want to start at the second semester.
Yes.
So we ensure that there's space available for students to get appointments because it's a priority to us. And then, of course, once a student has their visa, we also have pre-departure orientations, also run by our U.S.-India Education Foundation colleagues. And those colleagues, for example, we just recently did our Student Visa Day, where we not only brought in students, but also their parents. So their parents could hear from parents who've sent their children to the United States. So they could hear firsthand about the experience that people had and the kinds of advice they might give to their students and the kinds of questions that their students might ask them, or that they wanted to have a network of people that can assist them so they know how to get help as well. And then, of course, the students themselves had a chance to interact with each other, get to know each other. Many of the students are going to similar schools or schools that are nearby. And so sometimes knowing someone from your own home area that's going to be near you and is going through the same kinds of processes and changes you are can also be very helpful. So we want to make sure that they have a network of people that are going with them. They know that we're available to help and answer their questions, and that they know what to expect. But reality, no one can really fully prepare people for the transitions that they're going to have and the changes that they're going to have in themselves. And so that's sort of the next step, is just to make sure that when they're going through their process and they come back to Kolkata, they have a chance to tell us, this is what I'm going through, or these are the kinds of experiences I've had. And then we can use them as ambassadors for their experience so they can share that information with the next generation of students.
Yes, thank you. You were aware of the rich cultural heritage of India. How does the consulate contribute to cultural exchanges between the two countries?
Oh, that's a great question, because of course, culture is at the heart of what Kolkata is. And not only Kolkata, but all of our 11 states of East and Northeast India. So some of the things that we've done to encourage cultural exchange, for example, when I first went to the Hornbill Festival in late 2021, I had the opportunity to recognize that many of the tribal, for example, weaving patterns and beading patterns and dancing patterns and other songs were very similar to the Native American communities that I grew up near in Minnesota.
Really?
Yes. And so in recognizing that, I told my team when I got back, we really need to have some Native American Native American culture that we bring to make sure it gets interconnected, because I think there's a lot of similarities. And so wonderfully, my team was able to last year bring a mother-daughter dance team from the United States representing 3 different tribes. And they were able to perform at the closing ceremony of the Hornbill Festival and perform in their native wear and their native dances. And of course, that allowed everyone at the Hornbill Festival to see the same similarities that I saw and to really create that connection between our tribal communities. So that's one way that we're bringing some culture. We also, of course, have an extensive American library, and everyone who is not a member should become a member. It's very inexpensive for a yearly membership, only about 400 rupees, but you have access to an extensive collection of books that can also be mailed out, and also an online library of more than 1 million resources. And so through that, people can explore their own interests. All of the books are by American artists, by American authors. They're about topics that are important to the American experience. And so that's one way that people who like to read or people who like to explore can have access to those resources and use them the way they would like to use them. We also host some book clubs. We host movie screenings that show different movies by American artists or with themes that we think are important to the U.S. And so, yeah, we've done a lot with culture. Coming up, we do have a band that's going to be coming later this summer. And of course, we have a lot of other programs that will be announced. So anybody who's interested in cultural programs should definitely be following our social media pages so that they can see when we announce the programs that we have, both at our American Center and available virtually.
So my next question, how much support have you received administratively in Bengal?
So I have to admit, I'm not sure I understand that question exactly. Does that mean the kind of support from the state of West Bengal?
State of West Bengal,
Oh,
right.
okay. Perfect. Thank you. The state of West Bengal has been incredibly supportive. I'm so grateful for all of the wonderful, for example, security support that they provide to the consulate and also to me as well as I travel around West Bengal. They're very kind about working with us to have collaboration in different topics. For example, I recently participated in the West Bengal Pollution Control Board's 50th anniversary. And so the opportunity to talk about some of the collaboration that we've done on climate change and air quality. We've done some wonderful programs with the state of West Bengal's education department in order to assist teachers in learning new methods of teaching English in a communicative way. Many people remember kind of memorizing English, but of course, that's not the way we communicate. We communicate by feeling a language in our bones. And so, so one of the things we want students to know is how can they communicate without being nervous about making grammar errors or other things, because communication isn't about perfect grammar. It's about the heart and the way you try to get your message across. So those are some of the wonderful programs that we've done with the support of the state of West Bengal. There are many more, of course, but those are the ones I want to highlight.
Thank you, madam. So my last question, what new plans do you have for the future, especially regarding education and cultural exchanges? Are there new initiatives in the pipeline?
Those are great questions. Actually, we do have a couple of new initiatives. For example, the U.S. and India have a new education working group, and that education working group, as I mentioned, is trying to find more ways for Indian students to go to the United States for, shorter programs or dual degree programs or internship programs, the kinds of things that maybe plus up skills and maybe aren't a full degree, but will help those students to really be prepared for the 21st century jobs and the new technologies that are coming. So that's one area. We also have, like I said, we have a band that's coming, and we have many other things. For example, under the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology, there's also a desire to do more joint research. Now, some of that will be done, of course, under our existing program, the Fulbright Nehru program, which gives opportunities for U.S. researchers to come to India and Indian researchers to go to the United States. And so, of course, Fulbright Nehru is a wonderful program that has a long history. So to the degree that we create new initiatives, we usually try to connect them to existing programs because, of course, Fulbright Nehru is so well known already. But there's many things. I guess the one thing I would suggest is we are always open to new ideas. So please, we encourage people who have ideas of new ways that we can, connect the US and India at the people to people level, reach out to us on social media. Give us your ideas. If you're an alumni of any US programs and you want to share your experiences, we're very interested in hearing from you. If you want to be an alumni of US programs, we're also interested in hearing from you so we can assist with US India Education Foundation or other ideas and suggestions.
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ম্যাডাম। তো আমরা কিন্তু আজকে অনেক তথ্য জেনে নিলাম ম্যাডামের কাছ থেকে। আমরা শুরুতেই শুনছিলাম ম্যাডামের এই যে রবীন্দ্রনাথের সাহিত্যের প্রতি, রবীন্দ্রনাথের রচনার প্রতি ভালোবাসার কথা। আসলে রবীন্দ্রনাথই তো সেই বিশ্বজনীনতার কথা বলে গিয়েছেন। সেই কবিতা দিয়েই আজ কিন্তু শেষ করছি। চিত্ত যেথা ভয় শূন্য, উচ্চ যেথা শির, জ্ঞান যেথা মুক্ত, যেথা গৃহের প্রাচীর, আপন প্রাঙ্গণ তলে দিবস সরবরি, বসুধারে রাখে নাই খণ্ড ক্ষুদ্র করি। আপনারা দেখতে থাকুন দৈনিক সংবাদ অনলাইন, শুধু নামই যথেষ্ট।